Hi everyone, I hope you are all well and reading good books. I don't know about you, but I love a good book haul, and I have acquired some more books this month, which I thought I would kind of go through them and share them with you. So, for those who have watched my videos before, welcome back. For those watching for the first time, thanks for checking out my channel. My name is Jelloun from Bookworm Adventure Girl, and I love to read diverse books, diverse authors, and diverse genres. And I also love Canadian literature. If that's something that interests you, then please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I will be sharing 9 books that I have recently purchased or received, and at the end I will give you my reaction to the Giller Prize that was just announced on November the 9th. You won't be surprised that the books I am going to share are diverse in genre and topics, and the authors are diverse as well. I'm going to share them in no particular order, just in how they're in this pile in front of me. So on top of the pile is probably the most well-known author on the entire list, and I picked up Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King, who I'm sure you all have heard of. He's an American author. And this is a novella or short story that I first read as part of Stephen King's short story collection called Different Seasons. The story remains one of my all-time favorites, and it's also a story that I think the movie is just as good, if not better. Andy Dufresne, the main character, is convicted of killing his wife and the man she is having an affair with. He is sent to Shawshank prison. The story is about Andy, about how he survives in the prison and the friendships that he makes there, and the story just has so many great quotable lines too. And I picked it up because I like that it's on its own, and I think I will probably reread it. Boy Erased, a memoir of identity, faith, and family is by Garrard Conley. And this memoir is about his childhood growing up in a fundamentalist family in Arkansas. The family enrolled Conley in conversion therapy to get rid of his gayness. And this book, I guess, has been adapted to screen, but I haven't yet seen it. So I really want to read the book first, and then maybe I can check out the movie. Next is Chasing Painted Horses by Drew Hayden Taylor, who is an Ojibwe from the Curve Lake First Nations here in Ontario. And I have been wanting to read a book by Drew Hayden Taylor for quite some time now. And I'm so glad that I finally received this book. He has done so many interesting things in his career, but the thing that is a bit nostalgic for me and maybe other Canadians is that he was a writer for the TV show Beachcombers, which I grew up watching. Chasing Painted Horses is the story of 4 unlikely friends who live on a reserve north of Toronto. Danielle is an odd 10-year-old girl who draws pictures of a horse. And the horse represents the girl's life, what it is and what she hopes it will be. And her friends Ralph, Shelley, and William have watched her draw this picture, and now they have to figure out what this horse means and what it represents. This story sounds mythical and very imaginative to me, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. Ice Walker, a polar bear's journey through the fragile Arctic by James Raffan, who considers himself to be an accidental citizen of Canada. His father is English, his mother is Scottish, and this book is about the environment and takes place in the heart of Hudson Bay. The story is told by Nanu. Nanu is a polar bear, and as global temperatures have risen, the sea ice that Nanu and her young need to hunt seal and fish has all melted, which forces them to stay on land. So Nanu searches for nourishment for the children that grow inside her. She stops at nothing to protect her cubs, and I think that this is going to be an intense read, and it's been on my radar for quite some time. The Blinding Absence of Light is by Tahar Jelloun, who is a Moroccan writer, and this book is translated by Linda Coverdale. I love stories about survival and the human spirit, and I'm thinking that this one will fit that. This is a historical fiction novel that is based on the desert concentration camp where King Hassan II of Morocco held his political enemies after a coup to overthrow him in 1971 had failed. This novel is based on the testimony of a cadet officer who was sentenced to 20 years in the prison at Tazmamart, and it sounds like a very intense read, and it sounds like I will be learning about something I really didn't know anything about before. Next is H is for Hawk by Helen Mcdonald, who is an English author. This book has been on my list forever, and I'm so glad that I finally got my hands on a copy of it because I want to read it before her newest book, Vesper Flights. This is a memoir about Helen and Mabel. Mabel is a hawk, and Helen is an experienced falconer. After her father's death, Helen decides to raise Mabel as a way of coping with her grief. I think it's going to be an interesting read. Stay With Me is by Ayobami Adebayo, and Ayobami is a Nigerian author, and this book is set in Nigeria. The main characters are married, and they have agreed that polygamy is not for them. But then after 4 years, they still haven't gotten pregnant, and eventually the wife's family arrives with a young woman that they introduce to her husband as his second wife. And of course, the wife is furious and knows that the only way that she can save her marriage is to get pregnant, which she does, but it's at a great cost. The next 2 books are written by American authors. The Wife Between Us is by Greer Hendricks. This is a thriller, also about a marriage and a love triangle. Supposedly it's very twisty, which I love, so we will see how this one goes. And I just recently read a book by Bohjalian, and I am trying to read some of his backlist. So I picked up his novel, The Double Bind. Like most of his novels, this book is set in Vermont. The main character is Laurel Estabrook, who is a college sophomore. And Laurel works at a homeless shelter in Burlington, and she meets Bobby Crocker, who is an elderly man with a mental illness. Bobby tells her stories of his life, of being a photographer, that he took pictures of famous people. And Laurel thinks that this is probably unlikely until after his death she finds a box of photos. So then Laurel becomes consumed by finding out about Bobby's past. And the character of Bobby is fictitious, but there are photographs in the book that are real, and they were taken by a man named Bob Soupy Campbell, who had gone from photographing celebrities from the 1950s and 60s to ending up at a homeless shelter in northern Vermont. So I think it will be interesting to see how this story has inspired this novel. If you have seen some of my previous videos, then you know that I have been following the Giller Prize for Canadian literature, Canadian fiction, and I made an attempt of predicting the shortlist, and then I made a prediction for the winner. I will leave links to both of those videos below in the description. So on November 9th, I took part in the Giller Light Virtual Bash, in which I came in the top 8 of the Kahoot trivia game. I don't know how many people were playing. And I also took part of Guess the Giller, in which you could send in your prediction of which author and book you thought were going to win. So I don't know, again, how many people sent in the correct answer, but I am very pleased to say that How to Pronounce Knife by Souvankham Thammavongsa was who I had predicted and also who won the Giller Prize. And I am so excited for her, and I admit I may have jumped out of my chair just a little bit. If you haven't had a chance to read this collection of short stories, I highly, highly recommend it. I will leave links in the description for the conversation that took place of the shortlisted authors with J.L. Richardson. It was a great conversation, and I will also leave a link to the Giller Prize hosted by Eric McCormick. Yes, Will of Will and Grace is Canadian, and you can also watch last year's winner, Ian Williams, announce the winner. Please let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books, or if there are any that interest you. Did you watch the Giller? Were you excited about who won? Were you hoping someone else won? I look forward to your thoughts and comments below, and I look forward to chatting with you. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.